Is this the beginning of the end for Joe Biden? So, we just had the first presidential debate last night, and the first of allegedly two. We'll see how that ages, if that actually turns out to be the case, between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And it was remarkable. I think the analogy of I think the NASCAR race analogy is not too bad of one. As someone who's admittedly not a NASCAR fan, okay, but in theory, you watch a NASCAR race, maybe you watch a NASCAR race to be in case of a horrible wreck, not because you're wondering where the cars are going, because you know the cars are just going around in circles for a long time, and that's a NASCAR race. As an outsider, that's my understanding of a NASCAR race. So the wreck really is the interesting part. Now, I'm sure if you're a true fan, you really want to see who wins and all that stuff, and pole position, all that jazz is probably interesting stuff. I know so little about it, I shouldn't even mention any terms related to the sport. But I was curious to see this debate. This is probably... I may have watched parts of other debates. I don't know if I've ever watched as much of a presidential debate as I have this one, which is kind of funny because both of these guys have been president, and so it should be the lowest rated debate because we already know who these guys are. It should be very boring to watch another debate. But coming into this, I think there were some real questions about Biden's ability, physically, mentally, to stand up to a full live debate. And would there be some type of car crash, some type of NASCAR style rolling and burning and flipping that, in this debate? And I'd say actually it was. I mean, that's basically what happened. And the interesting thing is that, the beginning part of the debate was, which we actually missed. We kind of got started late watching it. But I guess the beginning part of it was actually the part that was the worst, like the first 20 minutes or so. And so, the commentators basically are saying, hey, he had one job, and that job was to settle the base, to put at ease people who had questions about his age, and to show that he was still sharp and vigorous and could handle the job of being a president, basically. And kind of crazy that's where we're at, but that is where we were at. And anyway, he did the exact opposite. He came out, looked very shaky, it's hard to understand, and he had some noticeable slip-ups, fumbles, whatever you call it. More than just a George Bush kind of gaffe, though. But it's, it would have to be horrible being him in the sense of, like, if everybody's already, like, staring at you with, like, just waiting for you to slip up, and then you do slip up, then you immediately would know that you had slipped up. Like, wouldn't it be, like, it just seems very, like, sort of the perfect storm to, like, make it worse, as far as, like, losing confidence. But so I've been consuming a lot of news since then. It's very interesting. I pretty much never watch MSNBC, NBC News, CNN. Like, these are stations that my life is just fine without. But in the wake of this, it's been interesting to hear what they have to say, and to hear so many people talking about, wow, this was bad. What are we doing from here? That kind of thing. So I'm rather interested to see what happens from here. Is this part of some grand master plan, or is this something just gone horribly wrong? So one theory on the gone horribly wrong side is, let's say that back in 2020, the Democrats were like, hey, you know what? We've got a chance here. COVID has weakened Trump. Let's zoom in here and get a candidate going Let's do Biden. Maybe he's a little shaky because of his age, but we think he can. He's still got the best shot. Let's do him. We'll run him on like a return to normalcy, and it'll be good. And hopefully he'll only want to run one one term, and we can put somebody cool, new, and flashy in there, and hopefully beat Trump again if he decides to run again. Well, maybe that was the plan, and then maybe they were like, oh no, Biden is really going to run again, isn't he? And maybe they're like, are you sure you want to run again, Biden? Like, maybe not. Like, maybe just call one term good enough, Like, maybe that's what Obama and Hillary are telling him behind the scenes, right? And he's like, no, I beat Trump. I beat him once. I could beat him again. I'm going to run. And I don't know. It's very curious. Now, if the Patriot community, if you will, if they're correct, and this is all the grand master plan, and then it is very interesting to watch it take shape from that vantage point. It's an interesting stress test on what happens. I don't remember ever in my lifetime seeing a situation where a candidate had such a inflection point of public awareness around, is this guy even like able to be a president, basically. Now there's still plenty of people out there who are like, hey, look, he may be feeble, but feeble is better than the alternative. So like there's still plenty of people, like he would still get lots and lots of votes, there's no doubt about it at all. Because a lot of people would just, they'll vote for their party regardless of who that person in that spot is. That's on both sides of the aisle. But yeah, it's just fascinating to consider. Like, what are the options here? So my understanding, the way that the Democratic Party is set up, there's very little option to kick him out at this point without Biden, himself agreeing to be kicked out. Now, what would it take for him to agree to be kicked out? Do you have to persuade Jill first? Does he have to have a major medical incident? Do the donors, the George Soroses of the world, have to say, look, we're totally done, we're removing all of our support? Do donations have to dry up and that's enough to do it? How bad does it have to get before Biden pulls out? And then the other thing is too, like, okay, so this is the next morning after the debate. Is this just a temporary news cycle? In 5 days, everyone will have forgotten this even happened, except of course, except the Biden haters, right? But everybody else is going to kind of just be back to normal, and we're just going to go back to pretending that he's a great, he's a fully functioning candidate, and that he should be in charge of running, the country. Maybe. That is, like, it's pretty amazing what a political candidate can weather. In the middle of a news cycle, it may look, wow, this is so damaging, but then, yeah, maybe not. But I don't know. To me, this looks substantial this time. I don't know if it's, like I say, I don't know if the DNC can actually force him out. I don't know if Obama has the clout, or if there's any single person, or if there's a group of people that would have the clout to do it. It's kind of fascinating to kind of consider and to watch people too in this scenario. It's like, are you willing to risk your career on this issue? Like, if you believe that Biden's is destined to lose, and you're a political operative of some kind, you have a career in politics, and to go against him, could damage your career if he continues to run. But it's fast. There's a bunch of interesting stuff around this. So, anyway, so what's my prediction? I don't know, but I think that not all signs. I do think there's comes a time when the cognitive decline is genuinely untenable. So like I think I don't know how far it can go, but I think there comes a breaking point for when voters are for how much voters are willing to kind of overlook. So I think that point may be further than we would think. I don't know if we've reached it yet. We could need another debate that's a fiasco. We could need multiple world stage fiascos of some kind. We might need him having a major medical incident at a rally of his. I don't know what the breaking point is, but there are some indicators, at least, that the media seems to have turned to be raising a lot of questions around his viability, and the likes of Mark Cuban saying they'd be open to a different candidate. So I don't know that we're there yet. Of course, Biden is his camp seems to be holding steady, and they're going on the campaign trail and whatever. So we may not have reached a breaking point yet, but to me it looks like there are significant cracks, in this structure, and that this building could come crashing down in the metaphorical sense of like this campaign could kind of implode, if you will. And I don't know what it would take to do that for sure. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if this is part of a grand scheme of some kind, or if this is just a giant oopsie on the Democratic side. Do the Democrats actually want Donald Trump to be in office again because it activates their base? I don't know. But it is interesting times. And in terms of political theater, I don't know if it should be treated as theater because there are genuine, serious ramifications. But in terms of spectator sport, I mean, it's the entertainment value right now, I'd say, is pretty high. And like I said, I'm not sure that that's appropriate to look at as entertainment, but it is quite a fascinating time that we're in. And we'll see where it goes from here. I did see that that Hillary tweeted her support for Joe, continuing to support him. I have not heard anything from Barack Obama since last night. I was checking on Twitter and so on, and I haven't heard a stitch out of him. And I do think once he says something, I think it will be newsworthy, as far as like I think people will report on it. But I'm not saying it's newsworthy in the sense of being valuable. But yeah, it'd be so interesting to hear what those conversations are behind closed doors as far as, where things are at.